Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Hope we're having a wonderful kind of end to the week here and hopefully a wonderful day of rest out there before things kind of get a little bit more active here in the weather department going throughout this week with a very likely storm here kind of beginning to get its act together already, but will really kind of ramp up going into our Tuesday and Wednesday this week. And that's not all. Eyes are also on another potential storm system further on down the road. So it looks like we're going to end February very active here and start off March the exact same way. And some folks are going to be in a very spring-like pattern. Other folks are going to be more on the wintry side of things as these storms kind of roll on through. And I'll tell you exactly what you can expect where you live. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. We're getting close to 8,100 here, which I know is kind of a weird number, but just kind of cool nonetheless. So it'd be super cool if you haven't already subscribed, definitely do that. Like the video if you like it, and I appreciate all the comments yesterday and kind of the kind words. I know a lot of you are really kind of, been very kind, I guess is the best way to describe it with my schedule recently, and I know the upload schedule's been weird, but again, I'm going to try my best to keep things kind of relatively, normal here in the scheduling department, kind of going into the rest of this semester. Now, I will mention spring break is not this week, but the week after for me, so I may be out of town a little bit, kind of visiting family and maybe doing a little bit of road tripping. We'll see if I have any time for that. So again, not this week, but the week after upload schedule, again, probably going to be kind of weird, but I'm going to try my best to get a video out every day this week ahead. So that's kind of the plan with that. With all that said, though, let's go ahead and jump on into the forecast because, again, we do have a good bit ongoing out there, and I do apologize that this map is kind of, freaking out on us a little bit, so I'll try to get through this one quickly. But, again, this is satellite imagery, and you'll notice for most folks here kind of east of the Rockies, we're relatively quiet. A lot of, pretty clear skies for a lot of folks, maybe some cloud cover, but really, overall speaking, a pretty nice Sunday for most folks. Now, the bigger story and the more impactful weather is this trough that is now swinging on through the Pacific Northwest. That is what is eventually going to lead to enough divergence aloft here that we kind of see some low pressure develop here out into the Great Plains within the next couple of days. And that is what's going to lead to our severe weather threat as well as kind of an ongoing winter weather threat as well for many folks. Now, we do have some light snow showers working on through portions of Ontario, even portions of northern Michigan and kind of the Lake Huron area this afternoon. That will continue through this evening and eventually work on into the northeast kind of overnight tonight and into tomorrow. We also do have some scattered showers working on through Kentucky and Tennessee this afternoon, but again, nothing too crazy, and honestly, a lot of dry air at the surface, so a lot of this might not even really be hitting the ground. But if you're watching in Kentucky or Tennessee, definitely let me know if you're seeing any precipitation out of that, or if it's just kind of some clouds moving on through. Now, the bigger story, again, is out west. You'll notice that's where most of our watches and warnings are, and we've got plenty of winter storm warnings in the pink here, winter weather advisories in the purple, and high wind watches or warnings kind of in the mustard colors on your map. And again, all of that due to this storm system that is slowly going to get its act together as this kind of big area of cold air works in out of kind of Alberta and British Columbia down into the northwestern United States throughout today and over the next couple of days. So that's kind of the overall pattern we're looking at there. All right, going to skip that map, and we're going to go ahead and start off here by taking a look at the East Coast very quickly. Again, we're going to just kind of breeze on through this because things are relatively quiet right now, and then after this, we'll kind of take a look at temperatures over tonight and tomorrow, and then we'll start talking about this big-time storm system that all eyes are kind of looking towards. Now, again, radar this afternoon, you'll notice really not all that much ongoing here throughout the East Coast. Again, as I mentioned, we do have some scattered snow showers up through Ontario and Quebec. Those, again, kind of just work on through today and eventually going into tonight. This is about midnight to 3 in the morning, that general time frame here. You'll notice, again, some snow showers trying to work on through New York State up into Vermont, portions of, again, southern Ontario and Quebec here. But this really likely won't amount to much. Maybe a dusting upwards of an inch of snow for most folks, but really, all things considered, not anything too impactful there. Now, going into tomorrow afternoon, again, could get another quick burst of some snow showers through the northeast as it moves on through tomorrow morning through portions of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, even down into potentially portions of Connecticut could see some light snow out of that system. And another kind of small system works on through northern Minnesota and into northern Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. But again, anyone in the United States that does see snow kind of here east of the Rockies tomorrow, really not likely going to amount to much at all as this just kind of fizzles on out. Now, Monday afternoon here, you'll notice again on radar, things are relatively quiet. A nice Monday, I think, for a lot of folks, as well as a pretty warm Monday as well. We'll take a look at the temperatures here in just a moment. And that continues into overnight Monday, but you'll notice here going into Tuesday morning, Here comes that kind of cold front here, and here's that low pressure at the surface, and now precipitation beginning to once again kind of break out on the map as some of that warm Gulf air gets pulled northward into the storm system. So now through Monday afternoon, pretty nice for everyone here east of the Rockies, but starting Tuesday morning onward, things go downhill pretty quickly for a lot of folks. Now, temperatures overnight tonight, again, nothing too out of the normal. In fact, if anything, a bit above average here in the temperature department. By the time you're waking up tomorrow morning, a lot of us, if not most of us, are going to be pretty well above freezing. Even down here into Texas, we're going to get very warm overnight tonight, only getting down into the 50s or 60s. A bit cooler up into the northern tier of the country, as you would expect, where we'll likely be flirting a little bit more with that freezing mark and likely even getting down into the 20s up here into New England. But again, just kind of find your location on the map here, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what you can expect overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. All right, tomorrow afternoon, this is when things get a little bit crazy here. And again, this forecast are straight from the National Weather Service. Look at these temperatures out into Texas and Oklahoma. We could hit the 90s tomorrow. Reminder, it's only February 26th. So this is obviously well above average here in the temperature department. And it's going to feel like it for a lot of folks. A very spring-like day tomorrow as this abnormal kind of southerly wind really kicks in and pulls up a lot of that equatorial air. And again, it's going to feel a lot like spring for a lot of folks tomorrow. But what I want you to notice also in this map is look back towards the Rockies here. Here's that block of cold air. And eventually, by the time we look at temperatures getting into our Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon, it's going to be a major shift here. So again, tomorrow afternoon, we could be well up into the 90s into portions of central Texas. But by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon, we're going to be even back down to below average temperatures. So pretty crazy swings here in the temperature department over the next couple of days. Now, why exactly is that? Why are we going to see these crazy swings here? Well, the 500 millibar height anomaly map does a great job at showing it for us here. And you'll notice going into kind of our afternoon on Sunday here, the general pattern we're looking at, again, here's that trough kind of slowly working down out of Canada into the United States. But once we get into Monday afternoon, before that trough is able to swing southward and bring those very warm temperatures here, look at this ridging down here, again, over Texas and kind of the East Coast. This is bringing big-time southerly flow and allowing for plenty of kind of warming in the afternoon here. Now, as we go later on into this week, again, this is Monday afternoon. We move this into Tuesday afternoon, and here we go. The pattern begins to break down. Again, still very warm in the east. This ridge is still holding on, and very warm temperatures kind of pulling northward, but at the same time, very cold temperatures pulling in on the backside of this trough. And you can already imagine where low pressure will form here on this map. You got warm air getting pulled in this way, cold air getting pulled in this way, and then there's that kind of spin in the atmosphere that you would expect to see. And again, I know I just kind of drew a bunch of spaghetti on your map, but nonetheless, it's just kind of how the atmosphere works here. So again, that's again going to lead to that low pressure forming Tuesday afternoon. And by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon here, here's that trough now swinging on through the kind of Midwest here, bringing in those colder temperatures. Still warm in the southeast and east coast, but again, don't get too excited because by the time we get into Tuesday afternoon, I think that trough is going to swing in enough that some of those colder temperatures kind of get locked in before, again, another warm-up on the way into this weekend. And then that could be followed again by another storm system. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. All right, let's discuss this a little bit here and going into our starting really now into Sunday afternoon and getting into the next couple of days. Again, a lot of snow on the way to the northwestern United States as well as rain depending on your elevation. This is going into this evening about 5 o'clock. Again, most of us still dry, but you'll notice here's that unsettled weather slowly working southbound. Mountain snow from Montana all the way over to Washington State with valley and coastal rain at the same time. Now over tonight, that slowly works on in a little bit more, and by the time we're waking up Monday morning here, a good band of snow here into the higher elevations of Oregon, into Idaho, and even into Montana, and even some snow getting down into kind of the valleys here into central Oregon and into much of Idaho and western Montana as well. Now, still dealing with rain at the coastline, and you'll also notice some rain here offshore of California trying to work on in at the same time here. And these two pieces of energy will slowly get a little bit closer and begin to work into tandem by the time we get into Monday afternoon here. And I think our Monday afternoon is going to feature a lot of widespread snowfall through many areas of the northwestern United States, as well as, again, that coastal rain at the same time. And that same general overall pattern continues here overnight Monday, and by the time we're waking up Tuesday morning, again, widespread mountain snow showers here through much of the Rockies, and those snow totals will really begin to pile up quite quickly. Now, moving this a little bit further ahead into time here, again, this is starting at Tuesday morning, picking up where we left off. Going into Tuesday afternoon, snow continues to work on in. But I think by the time we get overnight Tuesday and into Wednesday morning and even Wednesday afternoon here, a little bit of a lull settles in before our next storm system later on into the week. So this first storm system is really now through overnight Tuesday and into Wednesday morning, and then again a small lull before the next storm kind of begins to work on in. Now, how much snowfall can we expect here? Let me move this ahead into about the Wednesday morning time frame, and we'll take a look at some of these snowfall totals. Now, again, I think the highest snowfall totals we see here will be into the higher terrains of Washington down into Oregon State, and then also back into Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. Kind of these two specific places really racking up on the higher totals here. In fact, these higher terrains of Washington State could see 50 inches of snow, not out of the question at all. And again, that's just through Wednesday morning. Another storm later on in the week likely to add on to these totals. So plenty of snow for the ski resorts out here, and I'm sure a lot of them will be happy to hear it as we're getting later on into winter here and closer to spring, still cranking up some of these snow totals. So it could be kind of a longer ski season out here into the West Coast and even into the Southwest. Some snow on the way as well, specifically the Sierra Nevadas, and then also the higher terrains out here into the Rockies of Colorado, kind of on the right-hand side of your map, and then also the higher terrains of Utah, and some of these ski resorts really going to get in on some higher snowfall totals as well. So again, a lot of snow on the way out here for our folks out west. All right, let's talk about the East Coast now. Again, another place that is under the gun here for active weather with this storm system, and that does include the threat of severe weather, including tornadoes possible here, and this is for Tuesday afternoon. You'll notice the Storm Prediction Center already highlighting an area here from Chicago down towards Indianapolis, St. Louis, even down into Joplin, Missouri, and kind of down into the southwestern corner of Michigan as well, under that slight risk for severe weather, and the marginal risk even stretching back down towards just north of Little Rock into Paducah, Louisville, Columbus, Cincinnati, even out close to the Cleveland area of Ohio, back into Detroit, and then into southern Wisconsin, and then again much of Missouri there as well under the gun for severe weather. So a lot of folks, again, need to be weather aware here on Tuesday afternoon. As I said, this includes straight line winds being the main threat, but also some isolated tornadoes and some large hail will be possible with these storms as they roll on in to the area here for, again, Tuesday afternoon, as I mentioned. So looking at the East Coast here, we're going to start off Tuesday morning, and then we'll go through the life cycle of this storm. And you'll notice Tuesday morning rain now breaking out ahead of this storm system through the Ohio River Valley, the Tennessee River Valley, even into the Appalachia chain. Could see some rainfall. And again, for our friends in the ski resorts into North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, all rain with this setup here going into Tuesday, as again, just so much warm air is getting flooded northward here into this storm system. Now, what I also want you to notice here is look at how the isobars are kind of getting really tight here back towards North Dakota and into Minnesota. That is the cold front. So I'll draw it in blue on your map here just so it kind of makes a little bit more sense. We've got the cold front there in blue, and then kind of in red on your map, we've got this warm front at the same time. So kind of where these two meet here is where that severe weather threat is likely to unfold. And again, that kind of matches up pretty well with what the Storm Prediction Center is forecasting. So again, as I mentioned, Tuesday morning rain ahead of this system, but also snow on the backside through the Dakotas here, starting really early in the morning Tuesday, continuing into the later morning hours, and eventually into Tuesday afternoon here. You'll notice we've got a pretty good band of snow here working on through North Dakota, South Dakota, and even into Nebraska, seeing some snow. Also some snow up here into Minnesota, I should say, but eventually snow into Minneapolis as well here. And that will continue to work on throughout the day Tuesday. Now, it's going into kind of about the time the sun goes down Tuesday and into Wednesday that the severe weather threat really cranks up here. You'll notice low pressure now working on through Illinois here. We've had plenty of time during the afternoon to destabilize the atmosphere. And again, still looking at the long-range models here, but nonetheless, expect some storms, including supercells, to likely form kind of in that circled area on your map here as that cold front very quickly approaches and crashes into this very warm air. Now, also, kind of overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, expect that rain to continue to lift northward into the mid-Atlantic, into the Northeast. That rain, again, likely continuing to kind of ramp up for a lot of these folks as that warm front pulls northward and kind of causes some lift in the atmosphere. Now, overnight Wednesday here, this is about midnight between Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, snow on the backside here through Kansas, portions of potentially northern Missouri, Iowa, into Wisconsin, and into the UP of Michigan. Could see some snow out of this while we're still dealing with some rumbles of thunder, some thunderstorms, and some rain out ahead of the storm system. Now, moving this a little bit further ahead into about the time we're waking up Wednesday morning here. Again, rain still working on through much of the East Coast, but here's that cold front catching up very quickly. Again, I'll draw this on the map here. Again, Wednesday morning, we're starting to get very cold now on the backside here through much of the central part of the country, while on the front-hand side, still dealing with scattered rain, even some rumbles of thunder during Wednesday morning, and going into Wednesday afternoon, another line of storms likely working on through. Now, right now, predictability for any severe weather Wednesday afternoon is still a little too low. I imagine we will have some sort of severe weather somewhere, but just a little bit too far away to really pin down exact locations and details in that severe weather department. But personally, I would be watching really anywhere kind of, well, let me pick a different color so you can see it a little bit easier. But anywhere kind of in this circled area. Wednesday afternoon, I would be watching out. Could see some strong straight line winds, maybe an isolated tornado or two, but I think wind will be the bigger kind of deal here for our Wednesday afternoon. Now, overnight Wednesday, here's that cold front continuing to swing on through. Again, a heavy rain, maybe even a line of thunderstorms kind of working on through the mid-Atlantic and Northeast throughout the afternoon and evening hours of Wednesday. And on the backside, that cold air is trying to catch up enough. We could see a quick change over to some mountain snow through West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and even North Carolina. Now, the chances of that are still relatively low right now, but the GFS has really liked that idea for a couple of days now, and we'll continue to watch the chances of that. But again, just know, either way, that cold air is very quickly going to funnel in here on the backside. By the time we're getting further overnight into our overnight Wednesday and even into early Thursday morning, that cold front continuing to sweep on through, and now high pressure working on in clearer, drier air for our Thursday afternoon. Here, as I move this ahead, again, this is 18Z Thursday, or just Thursday afternoon. Much nicer conditions take over, and also cooler conditions as well, especially compared to what we're going to see early on in the week. Again, that's kind of the end of the storm. So that's kind of the good news. Luckily, it's only going to last really Tuesday through Thursday, and then we kind of clean on up a little bit and have nicer conditions to work on in. Now, quickly talking about snowfall totals, who's going to see it and exactly how much? Well, again, I think a good band of snow into the kind of northern United States here, into the northern Great Plains, could see a good 1 to 3 inches of snow here through much of South Dakota and especially Minnesota. I think 1 to 3 inches of snow quite likely. Also into Wisconsin here, could see some pretty good snowfall totals. But if you're watching up into Canada, specifically pretty far interior, into interior Ontario and Quebec, into these areas, a very good helping of snow. This is about a foot of snow, so convert that to centimeters or meters, maybe about a third of a meter of snow, or I guess a fourth of a meter of snow, maybe. Again, I'm an American, so apologize. I'm not the best on using metric units, which I probably should be, studying science, but we'll get there. Just give me some time. Anyway, though, again, a lot of snow for you folks. Now, also could see some snow into the northeast. I think that cold air is going to quickly kind of crash the column here, and we will see rain here, but on the backside, could see enough snow that we change over into the higher elevations. Maybe a quick 3 to 5 inches of snow, not out of the question here by the time we get into that overnight Wednesday and into Thursday time frame. Now, anyone hoping for snow down here into the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, I know that model showed a pretty good amount, but I would quell expectations here, probably a little bit lower on the snowfall chances here, but could see a quick inch or two of snow, especially into the higher terrains of West Virginia here, again, as we're a little bit more likely to see that cold air catch up to that moisture. Now, one thing that we won't have a shortage of is rainfall here into the Ohio River Valley. Could see a good 1 to 2 inches of rain, again, through much of Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and into West Virginia, even down into Tennessee here. Lesser totals down into the southeast and mid-Atlantic, as we're going to have a little bit less lift in the atmosphere here, but nonetheless could see some rain down that way. But really, the Northeast and Ohio River Valley are going to be the real winners in the rain department here, with, again, a good 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. Isolated spots could see 3 inches or so before all is said and done. All right, that's not the only thing we need to talk about. Temperatures, as I mentioned, it's going to be a real roller coaster here, and we'll talk here starting Tuesday afternoon, and you'll notice very warm temperatures once again. We're getting near 30 degrees above what we should be this time of year. We saw that in Texas. We could be hitting 90 Monday afternoon, which again is a good 30 to 40 degrees above what you're probably used to here getting into late February, and a lot of people here going to get in on that here through much of the eastern half of the country Tuesday afternoon. Now, getting into Wednesday afternoon, again, we're going to have a crazy sharp gradient here. I'll just tell you, we're going to have some folks that are going to be near, 15, 20 degrees below what they should be this time of year, back into the Midwest and into the southern Great Plains, while into the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic, we're about 15 to 20 degrees above what we should be this time of year. So, kind of right here, you'll notice where that sharp cutoff is. There's going to be likely a 20-degree gradient in temperatures through some states. I wouldn't be surprised Wednesday afternoon a place like Memphis is maybe 50 degrees, while a place like Chattanooga might be near 80 degrees. So again, we're getting into that time of the year where these cold fronts have a big punch to them and have very sharp contrasts on each side of them, And this one's going to be a great example of that here Wednesday afternoon. And even Thursday afternoon here, that gradient continues and slowly crashes on in before, again, overnight Thursday into Friday, those cold temperatures really kind of take back over for much of the eastern half of the country. And again, as I mentioned earlier, don't get too used to the cold, though, because another batch of warm air works on in kind of to end the week here, so about a week from now, and then into the start of the following week before eventually, potentially, another storm system works on in, and we do the whole process all over again. All right, to show that to you here, our European model kind of indicating again, the calm after the storm here. This is Thursday afternoon. One thing I will mention the models have been hinting at is potentially a little bit of precipitation into the southeast kind of towards the end of this work week. It could still be cold enough that maybe we see some mountain snow out of that into North Carolina, but really just kind of a cool rainy day possibly here through Thursday evening and even into Friday as that kind of slides on through. And eventually sets the stage again for a big return to warm temperatures and another potent, strong storm system about a week to 10 days from now. Could potentially set up shop over the Great Plains, and again, snow on one side, severe weather on the other side. Going to do this whole process all over again, kind of to start the first week of March. So that's kind of the overall pattern that we're working with here to end out February and start March. Again, a very active time for a lot of folks here in the weather department. Alrighty, well, I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. Appreciate you watching the video. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. Like the video if you like it, and of course, comment, let me know where you're watching from. With that said, though, hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you all tomorrow.